Hello all my Kenvians, and welcome to episode 54 of Discovering Steven Universe. Today, the episode I'm going to be watching is Love Letters. And to be completely honest, I don't actually remember. I feel like I had a theory or like a guess, essentially, as to what this episode is going to be about. But I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, maybe it's going to be something like back and forth between Connie and Steven. It's going to be adorable and just like them passing notes or something silly like that. I don't know, but yeah, let's get right into it with Love Letters.
Did it do it? I don't know. Press it again. I've been pressing it.
You guys look cute.
Jamie!
What's up, Steven? Long time no see.
Oh, yeah, that's the...
My gosh!
Was he... Cheeseburger Backpack. That's the episode he's from.
Greetings, Connie. Why? Yes, I am.
An aspiring
Wow,
thespian.
I didn't know you wanted to be an actor.
That's because I'm very good at acting.
Is that why you're wearing
Sorry.
those cool glasses? Hi, Garnet. Hello, Garnet.
Who's Garnet?
Oh, he falls in love with Garnet. Letters, Mailman.
Watch out,
Okay.
Garnet. I was just at the... What's that?
Here.
But what is it? Jamie!
For such a wonderful actor, he's not able to keep his cool very well.
To Garnet. When
When
I
I saw you rise like an ancient sea nymph, a white hot steel pierced the deepest artery of my being. You are a cardiac surgeon and I am your transplant patient, and you stand poised over my chest. Mention you want to keep it casual next Friday at the Crab Shack. I await your response, because you know it only blooms at night and stuff.
Love, Jamie. Well, yeah, she is a relationship. Oh, you mean she's a fusion? Ruby and Sapphire. are so
That's actually the logic I was going with, so interesting.
Is out of the question.
Start with the letter
Okay.
I see where this is going.
A. The letter O.
Okay. You can just say the whole word instead of spelling it out.
Period.
Period? Oh. I think we'll need more than that.
So many auditions day after day, so much rejection day after day. That's why I came back. One more rejection would have destroyed my fragile heart.
What the crap?
I get caught up in the drama zone, you know. Garnet! I read thy letter and I understand.
Do you?
Thou hast returneth mine heart.
What? No, that's not what...
Garnet, you like my hair just as I adore. But I've loved you since the moment I saw you.
Love at first sight doesn't exist. Love takes time, and love takes work. At the very least, you have to know the other person. And you literally have no idea who or what I am.
But I've
Accurate.
For you, like that. What am I supposed to do now?
Start with local data.
Are you okay?
Yeah, that was some pretty solid advice.
Were those more letters you wrote to Garnet?
No, that was the mail I was supposed to deliver on my last round.
I was gonna say.
We'll help you pick it all up.
Thanks.
Okay. As always, we'll listen to the end music. Although it has been said several times, and I can't believe I didn't... I really need to stop it before it does that Cartoon Network part. But, yeah, it was told to me fairly recently, or I think some other people mentioned this before too, but that is actually Rebecca Sugar singing the song, which is awesome. She has a really good singing voice. But, yeah, so that is the end of this episode, the end of Love Letters. So, I will go to my notes, and I will see you all after the break for the review portion of this video. Until then, see you in just a minute. Hello again, Kenvians, and once again, welcome to the review portion of this video. Let's get right into it with my favorite parts of the episode Love Letters. And But before I even get started, I am going to say the number of favorites and annoyances may seem rather low, at least compared to how some of the other episodes have been. But don't take that necessarily as an indicator of my overall feelings for the episode, because, I don't know, it might surprise you. But, once again, into the favorite parts. The fact that we have the return of Jamie, who we haven't seen since Cheeseburger Backpack, unless he's been a background character in certain episodes, but at least from the way they described it, he's been completely gone. And in fact, Steven hadn't been getting any of his mail since Jamie had been gone to Kansas. And yeah, I found it interesting because I remember back in Cheeseburger Backpack, I thought Jamie seemed like a fairly interesting character. Maybe had the potential to at least be a secondary character, and I guess we'll see from here how that turns out. But I was very surprised that there was such a huge gap in between his appearances. Again, if I'm forgetting any others that he might have appeared in, let me know, but to the best of my knowledge, this is the first one since Cheeseburger Backpack. And you might hear Midna yelling in the background, but she can't come in because I have food over here. But expanding on that, it's like the fact that Jamie, it develops very quickly a crush on Garnet, which, you know, his overly dramatic brain kind of overemphasizes. But you know, I can't blame the guy, you know. Again, I know she's a cartoon character. However, as far as the character's design goes and all that, like, the character is quite attractive. So, you know, I'll definitely give him that. But then also the fact that, I don't know, just like having Jamie back in general, and then some of the more entertaining aspects of him being there is, at least in my opinion, especially when he drops off that love letter to Garnet. And it's like I said in the reaction, you know, for someone who's supposed to be, you know, at this point apparently a seasoned actor, which I'm pretty sure based on some of the dialogue that wasn't entirely accurate, but he doesn't exactly know how to keep himself together. He doesn't know how to play it cool, shall we say. And that's coming from someone that definitely doesn't know how to play it cool. But moving on from there, my next favorite part of this episode was very simply Garnet's reply to the message. And I guess you can combine in here the fact that, you know, Steven and Garnet emphasize that, you know, Garnet is a relationship. So she is already in a relationship in that sense. And, you know, three's a crowd, as Garnet puts it. But the fact that the reply is just simply N-O, period. It works so, I don't know, it's just, even if they hadn't expanded on it from there, it's like, had it just been N-O, it would have been perfect. But then, you know, we get to that point where the kids modify the love letter, or not the love letter, but the reply. And it's like I said, it seemed like my computer decided to yell at me, okay? But, you know, the kids wrote it in a way that would not be quite so harsh, shall we say. And in my opinion, it seemed like they did a good job of, again, matching his dramatics, matching the tone of his words, but at the same time, letting him down. Or letting him off easy, I guess you might say. However, it just... I was completely taken aback by how Jamie reacted to that. I mean, it makes sense in the context of the cartoon, but at the same time, I'm just like, really? How did you interpret that as her still wanting you? I don't know. But, yeah, other than that, it's like the final portion of the episode where Garnet actually has the talk with Jamie. I thought that was perfectly done. It was really well done. Just very... Garnet was still blunt, but she was a lot more, I guess you could say empathetic perhaps, but she was blunt and yet kind, I guess you might say. So yeah, and that would be my final favorite point of this episode overall. So yeah, I mean, not a huge number there, but at the same time, let's get into my annoyances with this episode. And keeping up with the low numbers, there's actually only one. And again, despite me being personally happy that Jamie the character has returned, the overly dramatic Jamie got on my nerves. Perhaps not so much during the letter when it's being read. Like, I found that part kind of entertaining, a bit shocking. I don't even know what the look on my face was during that portion, but yeah, the just overall, like, him being overly dramatic, and yeah, even Garnet says at the end, is like, he's a good enough actor that he actually convinced himself that he had fallen in love with her. But yeah, just overall, just the overly dramatic Jamie, it annoyed me. But as it goes with a lot of the annoyances it seems like I have had recently, it goes along with the tone of the episode. So even though I was annoyed by that aspect, it works with the story. So, take that annoyance with a grain of salt, I guess you might say. And happy to say there is no moment of terror in this episode. Thank God. If there was a moment of terror in this episode, I'm not sure what, it would have been interesting to throw in there. But yes, no more of those. So, definitely, as always, let me know your favorite parts of this episode, some of your annoyances. Who knows, maybe some of you all have more annoyances from this episode than I do. But moving on from there, is for tracks of the episode, I honestly feel that the kind of pseudo-classical music playing in the background during when Jamie's love letter is being read, that monologue, like that bit of classical music, I thought was really good. It was interesting, and at least in my opinion, it's the only track of the episode that really stands out, at least as far as the ones that I personally paid attention to. There might have been others, but overall, yeah, just the classical music, it was a nice little touch. It added to the humor of the situation. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. As for a quote of the episode, I will say an honorable mention perhaps would be the actual letter from Jamie to Garnet. It's very strange and cringeworthy, but at the same time, it's kind of adorable at the same time. But my actual quote of the episode is actually from the end of the episode when Garnet is talking to Jamie. There right at the end when she lets him down easy. And it's simply this: love at first sight doesn't exist. Love takes time, and love takes work. At the very least, you have to know the other person, and you literally have no idea who or what I am. I feel like I said literally like Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec. Literally. But it's literally. That's beside the point though. But yeah, that's definitely my quote of the episode. It's such a good line. I included the end portion just because of, the fact that it really works for Garnet herself. It's like, you literally have no idea who or what I am. But at the same time, it also somewhat plays along with that quote as a theme overall. I believe you can be attracted to someone at first sight. You can be, like, you can just see someone and be very attracted to them. But I also firmly believe there's no such thing as love at first sight. Like Garnet says, it doesn't exist. It simply doesn't. It takes time, it takes work, and I mean, overall, it's a very simplified, version of it. I mean, you can go into so much more detail on the subject at large, but it's a line that can apply to all of us. Hopefully, it's like, the person, like, you see someone that you're very attracted to, you might end up falling in love with them. You might end up being married to them or just being in a long-term relationship. But just because you were immediately attracted to that person does not make it love at first sight. A more accurate term would probably be lust at first sight. Although I don't think lust would exactly be the right term. But I think you all get what I'm trying to say here. But yes, that is by far my quote of the episode. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say. So, going back a little bit, any other tracks of the episode you all might be able to point out, or, and any other quotes that you might have really liked in this episode. I would love to hear what they are. Really stumbling over my words today. But before I wrap up and give my overall thoughts on this episode, I do have a theory. And the theory is this: it's not gonna, and it really only pertains to this episode, unless somehow there's like sort of a continuation of what's going on. But my theory is this: that Ruby, as far as Garnet being one whole of Ruby and Sapphire, I feel like the Ruby part of the personality was mostly in charge when dealing with Jamie at first, when dealing with the love letter, just with dealing with Jamie at all, including when he came over in the rainstorm. I feel like that was more the Ruby side of the personality, whereas at the end, when Garnet was talking to him when he was out at the beach, that was more the Sapphire personality. And I mean, there's no real way to verify this, I guess, but just based on the short amount of time that I've actually been able to see of those two gems, and then again, them combining to be as one through Garnet. Even some of us, like, sometimes we have certain personality traits that become more dominant in certain situations. So I feel like that's what happened here. Again, it's like, the Ruby, the more brash, the more blunt version of Garnet's personality came out, especially at first, out of frustration and annoyance. But then when it came to being a bit more nurturing and being comforting, it was Sapphire that came out at the end. Or maybe even just being more patient with him, I guess you might say. So again, I guess at this point, I would like to know your all's thoughts on that theory, because again, this is just based on the little bit of viewing time I've had with Ruby and Sapphire. It's a completely wild guess, but it seems accurate to me. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that theory. But moving on to my overall thoughts of this episode, it was okay. It was, now again, I did like the fact that Jamie was back, but overall, it's a take it or leave it kind of episode. I mean, Steven and Connie were adorable throughout. It's just kind of further emphasized that Garnet is a relationship, to where it's like, even if someone does show interest, I suppose, in Garnet, that she won't want to, go on a date or anything like that with anyone else, because Ruby and Sapphire are very much a couple. If that makes any sense at all. But yeah, in the end, it's a cute little episode. It's not one of the most interesting, but at the same time, it's not like a severely flawed episode. It's not an episode that makes me mad by any means. It's just kind of there, so it's okay. It's all right to me, basically. So yeah, that's all my thoughts having to do with the episode Love Letters. Now, as I mentioned earlier, any of your own favorite parts, annoyances, tracks, or quotes, anything you want to mention in the comments down below, please do. I would love to hear your all's, perhaps some that you all come up with, in addition to just any thoughts you might have on what I've said here. And also, if I would like to know if any of you really do like this episode a lot and why, or maybe you really don't like it. Maybe you feel it was insulting in some form. I don't know. I would like to hear your thoughts on that. Excuse me. But yes, next time I will be getting into the episode Reformed. Not sure what that means exactly. I mean, again, I was way off in my guess with love letters, but if it's reformed, maybe, I don't know, a previously broken gem will come back together? I don't know. I have no clue. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about this episode. Everyone, again, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you would like to see, this one's going to be already out, but if you would like to become a patron to PapaKennMedia, I will leave a link to the Patreon down below and at the end of this video. And if you become a patron for even just $1 a month, you'll be able to get early access to these videos as I upload them. A little bit behind right now, but getting caught back up. So yeah, if you would like access to basically all of the videos I put up on the PapaKennMedia YouTube channel, please do, go check out the Patreon. It's not a requirement, it's completely optional, and I appreciate any and all of the support I get from you all, even if it is just watching these videos. But I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Until next time, everyone, for Reformed, I'm Papa Ken, and I will see you in the next episode.